Countdown beginning. We'll get kicked off here in about 30 seconds. Maybe I should just give an introductory comment to anybody who's here before the clock hits noon. I jump into the story. You might notice a little Band-Aid here on my forehead. I got a Groupon for an eyebrow raise, but he went in through the forehead. So I don't know what he was thinking. No, I'll tell you the story another day. If you're curious at the end, when we go to Q&A, you can ask about it in the chat. All right, we're at noon. Let's go. Have you seen the trend where the McDonald's CEO is on camera and he's eating a Big Mac and he takes a bite of that product like he's like a little rabbit, just nibbles a little bit on the bread, you know? I don't even think he even got substance in that bite. And obviously, whether it's planned or not, these billion-dollar companies and the best marketing move they can come up with is eat your own product. And here's the thing. It worked. It did get some spread around the webs, whether they wanted that or not. And so, hey, we got some people in the house today. I'll make a comment on that in a minute. But Brett, our marketing leader, was like, hey, Chris, you should eat our product on the next YouTube Live. So I'm not gonna. We'll get into that in a minute. I took our IFQ recently, and I'm going to walk through my data and confess some insecurities to you here live on YouTube in a moment. That's what we're doing today. Welcome to YouTube Live. We're calling it Lunch with Chris. Last week, I told you I was going deep on episodes 4 and 5 of the company retreat on Amazon Prime. So if you haven't seen it, that's okay. I'm going to frame the bigger moments. And what Amazon showed you this week that's so powerful is this idea. When the plan falls apart, that's when you actually find out what's driving your leadership. And what you're going to see is you don't really have a culture problem. You have a fear problem. Now, you may see some people here in the background. They're a little blurred out. Brett, our marketing leader, is in the house today. Mark, operations leader. So it's a party. Friend of the show, Brett. Friend of the show, Mark. I just like to use that phrase. And if you know where it comes from. So if you watched episodes 4 and 5, and before I walk you through my numbers on the IFQ, I want to tell you what set these two episodes apart in the way that they deconstruct so much dumb leadership theater. They expose some things. The show is doing my job. Junior, the dad is handing off the business to the son, and all the companies we've worked with in succession, we've seen some amazing parent-child relationships. But sometimes it's like, what were they thinking? Well, Dougie Jr. definitely has that vibe. So he's trying to put out a new sauce because they're in the hot sauce business. And he puts Taco Bell sauce in the sauce. And they're like, you can't do that. And Dougie, feeling the weight of this in a cheesy motivational hype talk, feels succumbed to all this doubt and insecurity. And he bolts and he runs. And it's incredible to see how this is juxtaposed with a complete different opposite reaction. So you got this 35-year-old man, he just bolts off. The entire team has to go search for him. And then we get episode 5. We get the opposite picture. So we've got Dougie running away. And then we have Elizabeth Prescott, different company, private equity company, different energy entirely. She's polished. She's warm. She says all the right things, but things feel a little off because all of her team looks the same. They have a promo hype video and it's funny and cheesy and silly as you start to put it together. Literally all of the team are redheads. It's the picture of a leader who has it together and they're all the same. So two people, two totally different responses to pressure. And here's what I want you to really grasp. You've been one of those two people this month. You've run from something you didn't want to face, or you performed your way through something you didn't actually believe in. We're all doing this in small ways. And here's what either version costs you. So Dougie runs, and every person on that team stops what they're doing to go find him. And Kate had a killer line because she said, We had to come find you. Like, that's not just a search party. The metaphor here is really powerful. That's the entire team managing the leader's unprocessed fear. Their day now is about his avoidance. We had to come find you. That's what happens so often in dumb theater when we're running from the things that we need to face. We're expecting others to come find us. When we don't know who we are, when we're insecure, when we don't know our name, so to speak, when we're looking for the ways that things might take from us and invalidate us and we run away from it, we end up putting extra work on the shoulder of others. And then Elizabeth, the opposite, when she performs, she builds a culture of conformity. Her whole team looks like her. They talk like her. They mirror her back to herself. Now, I know none of you have ever worked for a leader that wanted the team to mirror and match their personality, yet it happens all the time. And every person on her team knows this already, but it's just the performance. And so the leader who hides forces the team to manage their feelings, and the leader who performs forces the team to mirror their fiction, what's fake, the performance of it. Both are expensive. Both are fear. So here's the whole thing today. And this is the thing for you to take back with an awareness. You don't want to weaponize with these words, okay? Be gentle, be kind. But you don't really have a culture problem. You have a fear problem. And the moment the plan falls apart, the moment the plan starts to elicit these responses of running away or performing, you find out what's actually happening beneath the surface. When you can see what others can't see, when you can name these wrong approaches, this will stand out in every part of your life. It's at home, it's in personal leadership, it's in the professional spaces you occupy. And the reason most culture initiatives fail, and the reason this show is so funny, the company retreat is a wild ride on the insanity of proving and hiding, is because they're designed to avoid the thing that would actually fix the problem. They keep these cycles of proving and hiding going. I've been in spaces where people, like the motivational speaker on this show, are saying stupid, incoherent, half-baked things that are damaging and dumb. But because they climbed a mountain and have some part of their bio that is a feat that people respect, people sit in the audience like the one cast member going, ooh, ah. Dougie's run away from that moment cost. Every person on the search party was paying the cost of his unprocessed fear. This is what it means to understand that truly 97% of the time, 97% of leaders, based on Robert Keegan's research, aren't leading from a secure identity. It's the unprocessed insecurities that create this outsized distraction for the whole team. The leader who won't face their failure forces the team to manage their feelings for them. And that's what a lot of company retreats can be. The team is managing the leader's avoidance. Let's just do something wild and zany because we can't have the conversation we need to. No, I'm all for fun. Let's go have fun. But let's do the real work of leadership first. What do we actually need to name? Or you don't hide, you perform, you polish. You show up looking exactly what a leader is supposed to look like. You have the language, the presentation, but you build a team that just mirrors you back to yourself. It's like this culture avoidance industrial complex in human form. She looks like a leader. She sounds like a leader, but there's nothing underneath it. And her team of matching redheads isn't a team. It's just this reflection that's trying to control the image. This is the exact kind of solution we're trying to speak about, help highlight, help encourage you on in this dumb theater campaign. Because I don't think a lot of leaders wake up and say, I want to get my company jumping through hoops of dumb theater. I think they're doing the best they can with what they know. They're just trying to look for a solution and grabbing after something they think will help. And you could hire a polished consulting firm that sounds exactly like Elizabeth, or you can get honest about what's happening underneath. And I think the other thing that was really wild to me about these last two episodes is the personalities that are behind so much of the silliness and the performative speaking and the hype and the messaging around that. You get all your leadership team together, you invest all this time and energy. Of course, for them, it's the whole company. And you think this is what the culture is. No, the culture is what's happening under moments of pressure when nobody's watching. You can have integrity on the wall and have people avoiding hard conversations every Tuesday. It's the classic Enron story. Integrity is a value while everything rotted from within. I like this way of saying it. Fear doesn't really care about your Myers-Briggs. Fear doesn't care about your personality. What is happening? Fear is the opportunity to welcome. We don't have to prove, we don't have to hide. We can address what's really going on. All of this avoiding, running away and performing, it's performative leadership, it's dumb theater, it's rituals that make people feel productive but don't change anything. And if I'm not aware of my own fear patterns, that's exactly how Chris McAllister will show up with his team. I'll do the poster, I'll do the offsite, I'll do the inspirational talk, and none of it will touch the real issue because the real issue is me. See, this is why every business problem is a culture problem. Every culture problem is a leadership problem, and every leadership problem is an identity problem. And when the plan falls apart, it's what makes the identity problem visible. Fear is at the root of this, not strategy, not communication, not alignment, but fear. Let me walk you through how this works. And for me, this is the big idea of what we're here to do today. I'm eating my own product because when a leader is afraid of being found out, they control information. When a leader is afraid of losing respect, they dominate conversations. When a leader is afraid of being wrong, they avoid decisions. When a leader is afraid of conflict, they let problems fester until they explode. And none of these will show up on the performance review as fear. Dougie didn't have a communication problem. He had a fear problem. Elizabeth didn't have a leadership problem. She had a fear-driven performance. Both were exposed the moment what they were doing, their default behaviors, couldn't protect them anymore. There's a scene that really nails this before I get into my results on episode 5. A comedy hypnotist pulls one of Elizabeth's sidekick up on the stage, and they're going through this hypnotism act, and then the honesty of everything is coming out in people's lives. What comes out is a deep, raw, scary, and somewhat inappropriate honesty about what is really there for him and what's really there for the intention of the organization. They don't really care about this company. They don't really care about the people. The thing gets named out loud that they're trying to bury. Your culture really is just a summation of the outgrowth of your fear at scale. So this is why what we walk through is called the identity fear quotient. There are a lot of great measurement tools. There are a lot of great things that help you out there to figure out, hey, this is how I show up. But what's so broken about personality measurement, if that's all you use, is it creates a victim mindset because you go, well, this is how the data says you should talk to me, so talk to me this way. Well, now you're asking them to carry the weight and to meet you where you are. It's not asking you to become something more and develop and transform. So we call it the identity fear quotient because your doing matters. How you show up in mission. Are you focused? Are you clear? Your relating matters. Can you build healthy culture and community? Do you know how to communicate? Do you know how to ever deepen relationships? Do you know how to move on mission in a focused way and change the things you need to? Do you know how to nurture connections from one stage to another? All that matters, but it's like a tree. Your relating is like the fruit. The doing is like the trunk. What's underneath the surface? It's the root. We're measuring the root system of your mindset. We're measuring the root system of your mindset where it breaks down under pressure. Now, I could look at my results and talk about it for a long time. What I am going to do is walk through just top level. Now, when you first get your report and you open it up, you get an awareness for how to even think about this. We're not talking about anything other than in the default mode you kick into when you're under pressure and insecure. About 42 minutes of your day. Can be happening mentally, can be happening externally, can be internal or external. From there, we have a box of validation identities. So right now, for my top identity fear, my validation identity, a little embarrassing to do this on YouTube Live. It's called prima donna. Here's what that means. Clearly, you can tell by the Band-Aid on my forehead. What that means is this. When I'm most insecure, I'm very worried about being misunderstood. I want you to know me. I want you to know my intention. I want you to know my motive. I want you to know what I'm trying to get across. I want to be known. I want to be witnessed. I want to be experienced. I want to be seen, heard, and felt. Well, you know what I mean. The idea is this. When I feel insecure, what I'm going to do is get into a place that I'm going to over contextualize because I'm going to be insecure and I'm going to try to be known. And I want you to name me and I want you to give me an identity. So let me tell you all about me. Or that's proving I'm going to hide. I'm just going to give up because what's the point? Nobody's really going to be able to get the fullness of who I am. Now, this is a really intense way of wording it. And I would say for most human beings listening to this, they're not processing at that level consciously. Once you become aware of it, you can't unsee it. Once you see it, your mind will start to change behavior around it. But very much so, your brain is working very hard to keep you from seeing this because it's painful. It feels painful because it's a feeling of insecurity. And that's why it's so damaging when we say the ego is the enemy. I never met Ryan Holiday. I bet if I hung out with him, I'd be like, I like this guy. I like this guy. Terrible idea. Here's why. The ego isn't the enemy. The ego is showing you the moments of insecurity that need to be matured and developed. And if you're using a metaphor of thinking about your ego or your insecurities as something to fight, guess what? You are going to fight against it. And what gets suppressed is going to come back raging later. These insecurities will show up as these default behaviors you go to under pressure. And you will wake up one day and have a culture you hate because insecure leaders ruin the world. They ruin their world when they lead for validation, not impact. So what we're highlighting is this. So my top identity fear, and we walked through a number of other measurements that are really powerful for those of you that are leading a team or an organization. I mean, we're looking at what's the current relationship to stress like? How much can they take more? Do they need less? Is something big going on in their world? But the biggest, most beautiful part of this is we get the snapshot of their identity fears. And so for me, my top identity fear right now, and I just took it back in February. We're on version like 4.0 of this now, 5.0. Fear of being replaceable, 21.88%. So here's the identity fear for me. I have to make sure that I'm marshaling and directing my energy like a river with guardrails, with great consistency into my mission and my community. When I'm insecure, the guardrails come off. I lose a sense of consistency or discipline. And the energy and enthusiasm that I bring to life is like a flood. And then it dissipates. This is why the CEOs we work with who have this top identity fear think they can just talk their way through all the problems. And they flood their teams and organizations with tons of context, not communicating clearly. This is why the individual contributor, or maybe it's your own business and you're a solopreneur, you can't harness the energy for what you see possible into your business into some consistent guardrails, schedules, rhythms, and routines that help you amplify the full expressiveness of your mission. Instead, it just feels like a never-ending cycle of flood, drought, flood, drought, flood, drought. Truthfully, I think I could probably talk about these identity fears off the top of my head for a couple hours each. So I'm going to move to the second fear. Second fear for me right now at 15.63% is fear of vulnerability. Now, that one hasn't been in my top 3 or 4, maybe ever. Maybe, well, I wouldn't want to say ever. Since we've had the IFQ, right? Because we had a lot of the work we were doing for years before we had all the data behind it. But I'm feeling this one show up more in moments where I feel under stress or pressure. And I sensed it had moved up. And sure enough, when I took this, boom, 15.63%. Let me tell you what's happening with fear of vulnerability. Fear of vulnerability, they're very afraid that someone is going to have power or agency over them. So they show up too strong, too dominating, overfilling the presence, overfilling the space with their presence, or they show up too diminished and they underdo moments. It's why the risk factor, we have risk factors with all these fears because we can measure a culture and know exactly the breakthrough moment it needs. It's why the risk factor with this identity fear is hidden agendas. People that are very dominating in presence, dominating with their power, crush people, and those people, it nurtures a coup or a rebellion because they're just trying to fight for their own oxygen. Or people that underfill it out of hiding. They're afraid to express the fullness of their power. Again, have hidden agendas develop. Even if it's not malicious, people start working on their own plans. That's why when a leader says, "Are we all on the same page? I'm concerned about this, Chris. Are we aligned? Are we working in the same direction? Are we rowing in the same direction?" Well, we've got to figure out the signal you're sending out. And it might be if you have this identity fear, your signal's too strong, your signal's too quiet. And that creates this risk factor. Now, where is this showing up for me right now? Brett, how vulnerable can I be? Will we violate YouTube guidelines? Let's see. When you're going through tough moments in life, you're going to run to these defaults under pressure and you're going to be insecure. And that's what we're naming. In a season for me right now, where there's some challenges I'm facing, there's a part of me that wants to manage an appearance that everything is fine. That's why for this one, we call the validation identity the closed book. So we have these names that we've given it to kind of crash into people's consciousness to hopefully wake them up. So for me, it's the closed book. And the closed book is just this idea of, I don't have to let my yes be yes and my no be no. I can be duplicitous. I can be deceitful. I can be a closed book because I don't want to need anything from you. Because if you have power over me, you might hurt me. Now, is my mind consciously thinking that? No, this is stuff embedded deep in the root system of who you are. Your brain isn't experiencing your most stressful, insecure moments at the current state and age you're in. The minute those moments hit, they go back to whatever those earliest shaping memories are, when the myelin wrapped and the neural constructs formed, how the brain fired together through those painful experiences is how the brain wired together, and boom, your brain shoots you into this moment and say, hey, that same thing is happening again. Chris, you better protect yourself. You better protect yourself. So a little bit different from the McDonald's guy eating his burger. Maybe more like the savage Burger King CEO who just chomped in. But I know this. If you can't name the insecurities, they will name you. And you will fall into this default pattern of behavior. And when you're insecure, you will create a culture that you look back on. Family, marriage, parenting, a team you lead, large organization, small team, one person. And you'll go, I hate this about our culture. And as you point fingers at that, if you can see in the mirror, there's something pointing back at you. Now, I don't say that to beat you up. I don't say that to tear you down. I share that with you to help you know what's at stake. Back to our show, company retreat. Dougie had no plan for failure. When the plan was no plan, he ran. Elizabeth had a plan, but it was manufactured. Nothing behind it. So when pressure hit, they went to the leadership mistake they make under pressure, their default move. And then you saw the fruit of that. And then there was one guy. Now, this is what's crazy to me about this. Because if you're familiar with the premise of the show, and if not, I'll remind you, everyone is a part of a cast except one guy. And this poor guy, the psychological delusion he'll feel like he's in when he finds out he's on the Truman Show. Whoa, it's going to be intense. But this one guy, Anthony, the temp guy, the guy who is a part of all this unwittingly and unknowingly, he has no title, no stake. He's the only one that responded with actual human instinct. Now, maybe the actors were all instructed to not respond to see if he'll respond. I believe that. But I'm proud of Anthony because I'm watching this show going, is he going to become a worse version of himself or a better version of himself through this? He organized the search for Dougie. He was suspicious of the PE group when Elizabeth walked in. He encouraged Kate when she was doubting herself. No title, no stake, leading better than the people who had both. You know what? Because Anthony isn't showing up right now with anything to prove or hide. He's not protecting an image. He's not managing a reputation. He just showed up as himself and did what needed to be done. And that's the question for you this week. Like, real raw question. If the plan falls apart tomorrow, where are you running? What are you trying to manufacture? Because if you don't know the answer to that question, I can tell you this, your team already does. They watch you under pressure every single day. They know which version of you shows up when the plan falls apart. And the only question is whether you're willing to know it too. Because the version of you that runs and the version of you that performs are both building a culture right now. And neither one is the culture that you want. So glad I could be here with you on this experience today. I want to open it up now in the chat. What stood out to you? You can throw it in the chat. If you have a question, it can be related to what we're talking about, or we do the question wide open, and it's called Lunch with Chris. I ate my IFQ in front of y'all, my insecurities. I already also ate my lunch because it got delivered early. So Moon Bowls, Columbus, Ohio. It's a ghost kitchen if you want to try it. Very delicious. All right, Chris, long-time listener, first-time caller. That's amazing. Suggestions for a leader trying to get to true feedback from their direct report that's not just open survey or shaped by insecurities. Oh, dang. Yeah. You want to put the person that reports directly to you in a terrible spot. Ask them this question. Hey, just tell me where I can get better. Tell me what I shouldn't do. And honestly, there's something admirable even in trying to do that. There's just a more advanced way you can do it to make it more thoughtful to the person you're leading. And if you're not aware of how it's shaped by your insecurities, you're going to ask a real leading question. Like, hey, did you like it when I did it? It's like when my wife says, hey, Chris, don't you think? And says what I know I need to say. I agree, babe. So thoughtfully, say it this way. When you see me under pressure, what do I go to as default behavior that I need to be more aware of? Don't pander me, right? You don't have to say it that intense if you don't have that kind of super open relationship, but just say, what do you see? And it's right from today's episode. What do you see me go to when I'm under pressure? Well, you go to your office and you think for a while and you come back, and while you're thinking for a while, we're kind of wondering if everything's okay. Or you send a big rah-rah email and we feel like we've got some stuff to talk about. They may not be able to put it to words, but you're going to start getting a sense of things. And what I would add as a follow-up to this is to encourage you, just take what they have and affirm it, because a lot of times people can't put to words exactly what could be done differently or better, or frankly, they would need to be your boss probably. No hard feelings. I don't mean to hurt your feelings. It's just true. But just say, hey, what do I need to be aware of that I'm doing when the pressure hits? And give them even a simple way to categorize it. Do you feel like I'm running from it or trying to maintain an appearance? That alone, like pick A or B, can start to help color in your insight. Awesome question. Friend of the show, B3 Birch. Oh, fun. Okay. Well, no other thoughts, questions, my friends. Lunch with Chris, YouTube Live. We're here to help you. We'll see you next Wednesday, noon Eastern. If you're on the West Coast, breakfast with Chris. Either way, whatever happens the rest of your day, may we be the kind of leaders at some moment this afternoon when we see the choice before us. Am I going to be Dougie? Am I going to be Elizabeth? I'll be a human. I'll face it. I won't just perform. I'll lead. Keep leading well. Peace.